Hey, podcasters, we're here, the ladies of Read, Watch, and Wine. And I'm Rhea,
Treva,
and Lynn.
And we are here to bring to you the book to movie adaptation of The Little Mermaid.
Little Mermaid under the sea.
We went and saw it last weekend together as Read, Watch, Wine, and of course, what we do, singing out loud in the movie theater.
Right.
Somebody told me to be quiet.
Wasn't me, because I was like, everything's better. Winter's weather. Take it from me.
So, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So the original book was written by Hans Christian Andersen, and I have some questions for that man. He's passed away, but we're just going to go over that. We'll get to that in a second. For now, we are drinking Louis Martini. It is a Cabernet Sauvignon. It was gifted to me by a friend. Not the biggest fan of it, but it's wine.
It's wine.
And we're going to drink it.
Exactly. So yes.
All right. So the book. The book. What year was the book written again?
I don't know. Let me Google it real quick. I forgot.
Once you tune in, let us know, had you ever read it before now?
I had not.
If you did,
well, let me just say this. I'm so glad that, like, back from the original Little Mermaid movie that we all love so much to this one, I'm just so glad that they are out, because otherwise the story of the Little Mermaid.
This was published in April 7th, 1837.
Oh my gosh. 1837? Like, was it Doomsday Year or something? Because this is...
I mean, you think about it.
So it's 200 years old.
Real kids, like, not real kids, but kids reading that story.
I'm like, how dark is this fairy tale?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, he's going to.
I was reading it and I was saying to myself, I wanted to call y'all so bad. I was like, no, we're going to talk about this in person. But I closed that up saying,
WTF.
Devastated.
So just as you guys a heads up, how we kind of roll our like podcasts are we read it, we watch it, whatever, but we do not discuss it prior to actually recording. So that way, everything that you guys are getting is like a real raw reaction of conversation, fresh off the block. But sometimes I'm so tempted to be like, y'all, what
the hell
are we reading? I was like, wait, this is a fairy tale, a kid's story. And by the way, Ariel dies in the actual book.
Well, and she goes into the spirit dust world or something.
Because mermaids only live for 300 years. And if they don't live for that time frame and they die, they don't go anywhere.
It's just
like no heaven, no nothing. They just
disintegrate into the air.
Yeah. And so, but she didn't end up disintegrating because she gave up. She was a good person, right? So did she live with the fairies?
Yeah, she ended up going to live with the fairies in the upper room.
He went to live with the fairies and Artemis Fowl, guys.
Oh, no, we're not even going there. But you know what? I'm going to put it in that category because honestly, like, that book had me so devastated. And I just thank God that I did not read that as a child because...
First of all, she was a child.
She was
like 12.
Yes.
Which threw me off too because I'm like, you can't even period together. We were falling in love with Eric and whatnot.
Right.
Back in the day.
I know.
There was no love connection between her and Eric because, you know, she went poof into dust and she died. And it's just a horrible story.
I was like, how did they choose this to actually be like a kid's movie for Disney?
Well, Disney put the sprinkled dust on the Little Mermaid and gave us the fabulous storyline that existed like the first movie and down to this one that I thank Disney for that because I don't know what was up with that Hans Christian Andersen. I don't know.
But that's really how his stories are anyway.
Devastating like that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, his stories are always like that. So
what else did we read by him?
I don't know.
I can't remember the month. But I remember like the book just being, I think I read before this was a couple years ago before I started the podcast. It was the Hansel and Gretel story.
Oh, yeah, Hansel and Gretel.
And I read the book. I was like, just on my own reading it. And I'm like,
Hansel and Gretel, I know joke.
No, I mean, may he rest in wherever he's at. But like dark, can we say dark?
So was he not considered a children's book writer because children should not read his books? We did it.
It's a fairy tale
He's
author.
a fairy tale author, but I think back in the day, like fairy tale somehow equated to children. But there are a lot of stories that are fairy tales that aren't really set for children, but then they turned it into something. Even when you think about like Billy Goat's Gruff, that was not really something kids should be, learning about, but they turned it into this, don't cross my dog, Billy Goat's Gruff. But no, real true story is not, it's gory.
I mean, you think about like lullabies.
Yeah.
Like they're all about plagues and death, and then it's hanging the children.
Oh,
That too. But yeah. Anyway, so back to the book. I'm not gonna say don't read it because
it's very short
No,
read.
I want people to read it. I'm like, you got to do it.
what I want to say is like proceed with caution. A lot of books these days have the trigger warnings on the outside. This book needs to have the trigger warnings on the outside.
Right.
So you think about it, and honestly, if you get past, you get through the book, and then you really look at what Disney did.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't even know how they got that from that, but whatever. It was very creative, a very creative spin on a horrible, horrible story.
It really was. And I guess, the whole love at the end is always going to be the positive spin. And they did mature Ariel a little bit so that
No, they would have had to.
we don't got like a Pocahontas John Smith situation going on. But yeah.
So yeah, that was the
book.
The book, yeah.
But now the movie. Whew.
So we would talk about the adaptation for the 1989 film first.
Sure. I would love to talk about that because that was a movie that played in my household for my daughter every single day. And by the way, we stole that VHS from Lynn.
My dad was very thankful that you stole it because I told him before going to see the movie, I was like, so I'm not going to drag you to go see the movie. He's like, I've seen that movie so many times in my life. I'm content. But I've never seen it again.
Yeah,
I know.
It was so funny. I remember borrowing it from you, and then I was just like, "Oh, we're never gonna."
I think you moved or something.
No, Rhea, we were still. Shanita was still watching it. She loved Little Mermaid. We knew every song on it. It was just ridiculous. But so that was a favorite. I enjoyed it. I didn't truly realize the limited diversity in the movie until this new one came out.
Yeah.
And it's so funny how we get complacent in what we see as entertainment, whether it's cartoon or movies, because we're just so used to not seeing us or seeing diversity in movies. And now, when this one came out, I can't say anything less than the fact that it was amazing to me. The vocals, the graphics, just everything was awesome. I loved it so much.
I love leading up. This is totally not about the movie itself, but leading up to the 2023 premiere, they had the original singer and voice of Ariel meet up with Chloe
Bailey.
Yes, I mean butcher her name every time, and I love it. I don't know why.
Sisters, it's not too bad. I'm always
Every time I'm like, yes, I don't have that issue. Everyone's always treated at my house. So, yes. So leading up to the premiere, they had them two together, and that was awesome to me because it was like my childhood and like the future all kind of together. So
Yeah, that's cool.
But the newer movie in 2023, of course, I absolutely loved. The only thing that I was kind of disappointed about was the chef scene where Sebastian and Chambi is about to be cooked in the pot. That was taken out. And it's a lower end hanging fruit song, but one of my favorite scenes in the movie just because like he's chasing him around, but that was my only disappointment with the movie. Everything else I loved. I loved how it was true to like the 7 C's with all the daughters and how they fit the C's that they were commanding, I should say.
Yeah. You mean the look of the daughters?
Yes.
Yeah.
Their ethnicity, how they were adopted or adapted to like that area where there's the Aegean Sea, the Indian Sea, whatever it was. It actually was fitting to each one of his daughters.
That was awesome.
And I love that. And I love all the acting. We'll get to that in a second. But I was just pleasantly surprised by how they were able to keep everything so vibrant and colorful. Because the cartoon one was like, of course, all the different colors, all the different fish that were moving around. And my, OCD self, I went into this rabbit hole about Googling all the different like fish and animal that I was seeing, and they were pretty accurate to like the actual fish and stuff. So I was really pleased by that.
I love
focus some energy on
I love the fish. I mean, I loved how they kept it so realistic to me. I got caught up in the movie. It was so good.
Oh, did you become one with it?
No, I did not become one with it. I did not become one with it, but when we get to the cast, you'll know why. I was so happy. I was just so worried about it not meeting the mark, especially with, having an African-American female as the star. I was just so worried. Like, this has to be it. And it just knocked
And
it out.
the scene in the boat, because that used to be my little favorite song when like they had all the noises. Kiss the Girl, when they had all the noises in the sort of jungle or whatever. That was my favorite.
Squirting over.
That was my favorite part of the movie, with the birds making the noise and the insects, and I loved it. And they made it so vibrant and so real.
That was my biggest worry, was not as lacking in vibrancy of colorfulness, the animation.
So good.
That was my worry, honestly. And I was pleasantly surprised.
I was so happy.
I approved.
And we know that some of these movies we fell in love with years ago when they sort of did this sort of live animation. What do they call that? Technology? Live action. They all didn't rise to the level that we wanted it to. This one hit the mark. Like, this one was awesome.
It's almost awesome. Can we get to the casting?
Oh my gosh, can we just talk about my favorite Awkwafina? I love her so much. What?
No, I'm fine with you.
I love Awkwafina. There is nothing that I have watched with Awkwafina in that I have not loved. And when I tell you, they could not have picked a better animal for her to play that role. The one getting the human utensils wrong and things like that. She just nailed it.
So I didn't actually look up like characters of who was playing what.
Me either.
I mean, of course I knew who was playing Ariel, and of course I knew who was playing Ursula, which I'll get to in a second. But the other actors, I did not look into it whatsoever. I made sure I swiped past those posts because I wanted to be pleasantly surprised and see if it fit like the criteria. Scuttle being female didn't bother me whatsoever. Mm-hmm. But when I heard Awkwafina's voice, and I was like, that's it. She is a perfect Scuttle.
That's it. She's a girl.
Just as obnoxious. Like when she came back in that house when she had heard Ursula's character hearing Ariel's voice when she went to go like tell Ariel, and how she was trying to describe how she heard the voice, and she's like on the bed and they're doing all this, and I was like, that's Scuttle. That really is Scuttle.
And they had a new song for her. What's the song that she was singing that was so cute? It was like she was doing this little dance thing.
Yes.
I can't even think of the song, but
she was rapping.
Yeah, it was a new song added to the movie, and I was like,
with Manuel Miranda for that.
Yes.
Definitely
Yeah, I'm going to say, you can tell his stuff like that as soon as he starts his raps. Okay.
Yeah.
I am a little disappointed with, what's her dad's name?
King Triton.
Triton. No, I was not happy with him. I was not happy with his voice. So the ethnicity, didn't care. Honestly, you should have put Aquaman there. I just feel like he wasn't big and bulky and powerful and masterful that everybody should fear him. His voice was so light that I could barely hear him in some of the scenes.
It wasn't I don't voice, you're right. And I wasn't that boom.
No, and Triton's the king of the ocean. No, it didn't do it. And I was trying to figure out
Gerard Butler.
Because I don't know the actor.
Confused him and the other guy, but sorry.
I wasn't sure about who the actor was. So I was like, so does he not typically speak with a accent? Because it was almost like, let me get the accent right. When you've been around people that really don't, they may be.
That was the wrong one. It's Javier Bardem.
Yes.
I always mix those two up. Him and
yes. Sometimes it's like if they don't typically speak with their accents, sometimes, and they're trying too hard to make sure they get it in there. Maybe that's why, or maybe he naturally speaks low. But in this movie, we have all of the tech stuff that you could bring it up. And if you need to do something to make it bellow when he talks, then you needed to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine to be nice and soft when you're talking to her. But even the scene where I was waiting when he was so angry with her, it wasn't even like an angry scene. It was
like,
so
no,
like,
Dad.
Yeah, no. And all of the stuff that they did. I mean, Ursula was awesome.
That was
The
my
costume,
next
everything was awesome. Didn't have to be a big man, bulky man, but you could have made him look bulky. He could have made him look like the king of the ocean. And then even with like being in the ocean, it was almost like you put somebody in the water that couldn't swim and they just had to stand there. That's how it looked. Everyone else kind of did some kind of movement just to make it, whatever. And I realized like for her arms were people, but still like that is the only thing I did not like about the movie. And that's why I could not become the movie because otherwise I would have. But anytime he spoke, I was just like, you're not my dad.
Like, you're not a king. You're not acting like a king.
No.
I didn't pick up on that, but now that you're saying it, I'm like, you know what? He wasn't grandiose like he should.
Yeah, it didn't have to be mean, but it just needed to have a voice that commanded the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Ursula had no reason to fear him.
Yeah, of course you go through it.
It was nothing, it was nothing. But anyway, that's the only thing I
Speaking
did.
of Ursula, I think Melissa McCarthy killed it.
Yeah.
She
everything.
Well, yeah, but I was in awe of like how she embraced, well, for one, her own take on Ursula, but also adding to what was already there.
Mm-hmm.
Ursula always had that, like, excuse my language, but like that bad bitch mentality anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so when she added like a little comedic aspect onto it, kind of sarcastic remarks and that way that she kind of talked down to Ariel, like, oh yeah, you're a dumb girl, but I'm still gonna manipulate you. Melissa McCarthy knew to do all that, like, and she embraced it. It's her. The laugh, like the gestures,
and I've never seen her in like an evil role. So I think this is something new for her, right? Because I can't recall her in a role like this.
Not that I can. I know she's done plenty of things, but I don't think it's been something up to this measure. But like, yes,
she did a great job. I agree with you.
But she's perfect for theater, so that's the role she rolled into.
She looked good.
She just was so.
She was evil Ursula. She absolutely was.
Everybody else, I think, just was so awesome. I liked every single character. The queen and the prince.
The diversity of that was awesome too.
That was really good, and the way that they weaved the storyline that she found him. Mm-hmm. And it was she was a breeder.
The island, like they kept everything so true to like the island vibe.
Oh, the music from that we were dancing when she went on. Yeah, that was awesome. So I'm like, I was a little torn with Scuttle. Not Scuttle, Sebastian. Because I love Daveed Diggs. I think he is amazing. He's an amazing actor, singer, all of it. But like, it just wasn't Caribbean enough for me.
Yeah.
I really wanted, honestly, I envisioned like Shaggy from the live action one that was on TV. Yeah. The musical one. I think he did an amazing job. A DVR didn't watch it.
No, I didn't see it. I want to see that one.
But I wanted more of the deeper Caribbean accent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he gave Caribbean, but it was kind of like,
but it wasn't like Sebastian Caribbean. Like,
it's just like the dad.
It's like, thick guy, that one.
It's like, it's a thick accent.
Yeah.
And him muttering to himself when he has like a thicker accent, it's not funnier, but like,
it is though.
It's funnier because like, people be sneak dissing all the time. I wanted it to be more.
Yeah.
But like, I love Daveed Diggs. I admire everything that he's in. And I watched, Hamilton plays over and over again in my house.
Well, he did a good job.
He did
a good job, but I get what you're saying. Like, you needed that accent to be just a little bit thicker. And we were obsessed with the cartoon. So like, when you got that sitting in the back of your mind and like, there could be no other Sebastian. Although I can't really say that because Awkwafina came out there. She did it completely different. Yeah. And she nailed it. So I don't know.
I'm an Ariel. Can't say more about her.
Her voice? Good Lord.
First of all, like I need to look it up, but whoever designed her hair, chef's kiss.
It was perfect.
Chef's kiss.
It was perfect. And I loved how they made it look in every single scene.
That blue up against her skin, like everything was just so perfect. Mm-hmm. It couldn't have been more perfect. I'm so happy. Thank you, Disney.
And she laid every role out, every moment that you love, it came in. There was one scene she said something I didn't like, but it was okay. I think I got over it. God damn it. That's one.
I was literally in tears, the scene where she sings a part of your world and she like goes up on the rock and the water splashes behind her. Yeah. It gave me so much nostalgia because that's one of my favorite parts of like the Disney animated movie. But the effort and the emphasis that she put into like that song, let alone that scene, I was like, this is why you were casted for this.
Yep.
Yeah. Because you gave engaged.
Like she put it in there. And then I was watching this little video on how they like did the blue screen or whatever you call it for all the people were in blue and how she was sitting on them and then they were moving the Sebastian around. And I was just like, wow. And then you showed how they put the color behind it. It was amazing. She did a great job. And I'm so proud of her. Like I remember watching her YouTube videos like years ago when her and her sister were singing on YouTube or Instagram or whatever they used to sing on before Beyonce pulled them up. So I'm so proud of her. And I know we're going to see a lot from her in the future. That girl is talented.
Even following her on social media, seeing the picture of her watching the movie with her grandfather and her grandfather stating that like he used to see his father pick cotton. So now seeing his granddaughter on like the big screen on one of this like a multi-million-dollar like selling movie. It was awesome to see.
Oh, it broke records already.
Oh, yeah.
It's just crazy.
I mean, we're texting like the same day later on that day, like, so we're going to see it again. She's like, I'm going to see it in 3D. I was like, me too. Like this same exact day.
Yeah.
So, very good. See it.
All right. Well, you guys ready to rate this? I feel like we know, well, I don't know, the adaptation.
Well, you can't, because the way we rate, it's not going to get a good rating to me, but it was awesome.
Yeah, it wasn't a good adaptation of the book.
Thank God.
Thank God.
Thank God.
Thank
Right?
God. But I don't care. This is getting a full glass.
Speak on that. I was going to give it a full glass because it was not the adaptation. Like literally,
it was a great adaptation.
Yeah,
because they changed it.
Yeah, because seeing a 12-year-old die for love and then go up to the lip with the fairies, no. Grab this from lip. Yep, full glass from lip.
Full glass. Yeah, we're gonna modify this because it's got to get a full glass because it was awesome. It was an awesome adaptation of that book because you could not do that book.
Right. Please, when you please read the book, listen to it or read it or whatever you got to do, comment. Tell us what you think because I was floored because of course I never read it except for the cartoon book.
Just make sure that you have queued on your TV the 1989 version like right after because you're gonna feel some kind of way.
Yes, absolutely.
So that being said,
cheers, full glass.
Cheers.
Now follow us on all our social media.
ReadWatchWine.com, ReadWatchWine Instagram, ReadWatchWine Facebook,
YouTube,
all of it.
all that.